Sullivan and I had a discussion on this earlier today. So she and I are on opposite sides on this, just because of, I think, some flaws with unintended consequences with this type of an action. The biggest thing really gets down to, are we suppressing voters the right to choose what candidates that they want? And where this becomes problematic is if someone, generally speaking, people who are, let me just say, when I support a candidate, it's because that candidate is like-minded. I know that they're going to do policies that generally will align with what I think are good policies. And so we'll make financial contributions on that basis. But then if that person has to recuse themselves whenever I step up to the city for city business, then that would be reason for me to say, hey, look, I'm going to get essentially punished for making a political campaign contribution, which is not what it's meant to be. So I think that's a problem. And the number $500, I mean, it could be $250 or $1,000. The state has set that limit currently at, like, I think $5,400. But I think that that's problematic. The second thing, and Councilwoman Sullivan spoke to this briefly, is that campaigns cost money, and these positions, as we all know, don't pay a lot of money annually. They do pay money, just to be clear, but they don't pay a lot of money. They're not full-time jobs by any means. And so, if you are not able to go out and within the parameters of our existing campaign laws, raise money to run a campaign, then that will end up limiting the only people who can run financially viable campaigns are financially wealthy people who can self-fund. And that's a problem. I mean, that basically is going to wipe out a lot of people who are otherwise able to run for this position. And let's face it, we can, like it or not, having a properly funded campaign is an important part of winning a campaign. It's not to say that people haven't won with fewer dollars. It can happen, but clearly the benefit is to those who are well financed to have a better shot at winning by a long shot. You can look at the numbers on that all day long. Look at the last 5 elections in Naperville, and you can tell which ones worked to do fundraising. I also think fundraising is an important part of the vetting process for the public. That's the first step of finding out if a candidate is a viable candidate. Are people willing to give financial contributions to that candidate's candidacy? And if they're not, then that's usually a sign. So those are important things. And then finally, I just want to mention that I think, and I know we've talked about this many times, but I believe truly at this point, the state is now motivated to take this issue up. And the issues that the state will be talking about are not sort of aligned with what Councilwoman Sullivan spoke to in terms of, influence through campaign contributions. They're really corruption related items in ethics. And fortunately, Naperville has never had that situation. And so to that extent, I feel like we're trying to solve a problem that's never existed, but at least in our town, at least that we are aware of. And so I feel like that's, again, adding regulation and controls in a spot that perhaps, what are we trying to fix? So for those reasons, and I probably have others as I drill down a little bit deeper into this, I just don't feel like this is a good thing. I think we should allow the state to set the state campaign finance laws, and then we need to follow them. People who are rule breakers will get caught, and that's going to continue to happen no matter what number we pick. People who don't follow the rules will choose to break them. I'm not